Hello, I like video games. He likes movies. Put it together and it's your own Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Let's talk about that. And then it's going to cue.
I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do.
You could do whatever you want, whatever. I was hoping to make a face. I don't know what you did actually. All right.
I didn't know what to do. I thought I was supposed to be quiet until you finished the thing.
Okay, we're leaving that in there the whole thing.
Oh.
Cue the video. Welcome to Look Your Pie Jump Out Playman here. And today we're making a video on movies based on video games. But we already made a video called Movies About Video Games. You can see it on RLG2 on his channel. Go check it out. It's really confusing. But now it's movies based on video games. And this is podcast, which I named it that because it's probably a stupid name, like this is podcast. But me and John have been doing this podcast for how long now? Anyway, my point is, God damn it, phone. Anyway,
let's talk about that. Good mythical moment.
So we're going to talk about our top 10 movies based on video games. Now, I made a special note on his video about something, and I'm going to do the same thing here. This special note is to me. I made this for myself. This does not apply to his list. So it's going to be movies that are based on video games, as in like video games that were, it was a video game, then they turned into a movie, is basically what we're saying. So my note says, I didn't include in my list any anime movies based on video games. So Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, Ratchet & Clank, and both Angry Birds movies, and a plethora of anime movies were not on my list. And I also didn't include any movies that went directly to video as well, like Halo 4, Until Dawn, and so on and so forth. So with that, I'm not sure if he has that kind of stuff on his list, but we'll find out now. So do you want to go and start off with your list first, since I started off in the last video, and we'll see what you got on your list?
Yeah, okay. So this is like heavily in the favorites. I'm not gonna sit like in the other list. I can't like really BS it and say that though that whole list was pretty much good movies.
Yeah.
This has a lot of really bad movies.
This one, mine does too.
This is my precursor to my list. This is my thing. This doesn't apply to Putty's list, but almost all of these are really bad movies, except maybe the top 4. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. But I just like them. So number 10, you have Street Fighter the movie. Okay. Number 9, you have Resident Evil Part 1.
Okay.
What is this? 8, you have Tomb Raider, the first one, not the shitty remake with that dumb girl that screams for the whole movie.
Oh, wow, really? Okay.
I hate that movie. She's so bad in it. We'll talk about it later.
Oh, that's funny. You're going to hate me now. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I already know that's probably your number 1. No. Street Fighter 2, the anime.
Okay, see, I didn't add, that's the reason why I didn't add that. I like that one.
I added it because it's good.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, that actually starts getting good here, I guess. Prince of Persia is my number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 is Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 is Pokemon, the first movie, the only good one.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is Silent Hill.
Okay.
Number 2 is Detective Pikachu. And number 1 is the best movie of all time, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, yeah. All right. So we'll go into my list. A lot of mine's on there, but there's one that we're going to talk about, which is my number 5, and I'll tell you why, because of one particular reason. So my number 10 for me was Prince of Persia. All right. Number 9, just because I had fun with it, was Rampage. Number 8, yeah. Number 8 is just it's a horrible movie, but I freaking love it. Postal. It's bad, but it's bad, enjoyable bad, because it's supposed to be bad. Number 7 is Street Fighter. Number 6 is Resident Evil. Number 5 is Tomb Raider 2018. And I'll tell you why. Here's why. I actually felt that when it came to plot-wise, I'm not saying the actress is good. Angelina Jolie is good on the eyes and was a good movie. But, okay, we'll get back to that. We'll talk about that after I go through the rest of my list, okay? Number 4 for me is Silent Hill. Now, keep in mind, I didn't put the anime movies. Again, that's the reason why I made the special note. Number 3 is Mortal Kombat. Number 2 is Detective Pikachu. And do we really have to guess what number 1 is? You had it on number 1 on your list as well. And we could definitely go through that. So I think we should save that for later. Number 1 is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. So, I had some pretty close ones. Yeah. Like, I kind of like Doom.
A Doom, I only like one part altogether in that whole movie. That's
The
it.
first person one.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only part I like.
I mean, Double Dragon. So
okay,
bad.
I actually had my side notes. Double Dragon is such a great movie, but it's so fun, and plus, freaking what's her name? God, from Who's the Boss? What's her name? Is freaking hot in that movie. I can't help it. But the movie plot is so horrible.
Yeah.
Alyssa Milano. That's it. Alyssa Milano. Yeah. And then the reason Prince of Persia actually went below Rampage is not because it's a bad movie, but because I still have in my head when it comes to whitewashing, and definitely that movie felt like it was whitewashed. But it was still a good movie. But I feel like as a good movie, it also because I own Assassin's Creed the movie, and I haven't watched the rest of it because I can't get through it.
So bad.
I heard, and I get halfway through. I fell asleep halfway through it, dude. And I don't fall asleep on a new movie. But that's what kind of Prince of Persia is. I'm not saying it's bad as that, but it feels like it's one of those.
Prince of Persia is too long.
Yeah, that's probably what it is too.
Yeah, that's its downfall.
I noticed. Okay, so for example, I named some there. So let's go. Okay, so that was my number 10. What was your number 10 again?
That's Street Fighter.
Okay, so I put that higher on the list. Why did I know it's horrible?
Because it's really bad.
Yeah, I agree. It's so horrible. That's kind of why I feel like I put it higher on the list.
It's only on my list because of attachment that I have to it, and that I have fun watching it. But I have to be realistic, and it's not a good movie.
Of course not. You know what I mean?
Kombat is a much better movie, but it's still not good.
Oh, of course. But I mean, you got to give it. Raul Julia really made that movie good. Yeah. Oh my God,
I agree. But if it wasn't for him, if it was anybody else playing him, that movie is even worse than what it is.
I agree. I mean,
holds that it's between him and Kylie Minogue in a bathing suit. That's
I knew you. Yeah, right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I still to this day, when I'm playing a video game and I die, I even did in one of my old videos on the channel. You can find it. I literally went game over, and I did the whole Raul Julia game over when I died. I wish I had it, but yeah. So that's the reason why there's that love for it. Now, Rampage, I know you didn't put on the list. I put it as my number 9. Why for you?
Rampage isn't. If I was being serious with you, and I made a top 25 video game movies, it's still not on my list.
And for me, it's kind of like the whole Street Fighter thing. It's not good, but it's enjoyable in some ways.
Yeah, but I don't have an attachment to it, and it's nothing like the video game. It's so loosely. It's just like, oh, we're gonna put 3 monsters that happen to be in this video game in this.
Okay, in the video they climb buildings and attack each other and destroy buildings.
But that's what I mean. It wasn't a good idea to begin with.
Well, no, I agree, but that's what I'm saying. It's still kind of fun to see the 3 characters out there in the world. You know?
I didn't have fun with it. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
It's not like the worst, but like if you're telling me favorite, I don't have any attachment to it. I wish it didn't exist.
Okay. Now what about okay, so what was your number 9 then?
Resident Evil.
Okay, so again, we might be skipping some of mine on the later list. So Resident Evil, I put that at number 6. I actually put that again higher on the list. Of course, that is way more. If you want to talk about when it comes to loosely based like Rampage and all that, I feel like Resident Evil was the same thing. I feel like it's only
the first one and the second one are the truest to the franchise.
How?
Because
none of the characters in that movie, except for the liquor, have anything to do with the game at all.
Because the first one has all the elements of the movie. It's just not played out of the game. It's just not played out like the game, and it doesn't have the characters from the game. But then you realize in this franchise that none of them are going to have the characters from this game.
Well, no, again, but
and then in the second one, you get them. You get Jill Valentine.
You get some of them. Yeah, you get some of them.
And you get friggin' Doomsday or whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah, well, I mean, but like, at least, like, okay, I will say this with Street Fighter. I even put Resident Evil higher just because of quality.
Resident Evil is a better movie. It's by far the best one out of all of the Resident Evil movies.
I agree, and that's the thing. As far as if you didn't call it Resident Evil, I would have enjoyed it. You know what I mean? If you didn't put the name Resident Evil on it, I would have enjoyed it. I think that's the reason why it was. I mean, it's still higher on my list just because I feel like it's a quality movie. But like and that's also nostalgia feels because it was one of those early movies that was based on a video game that we got. But at the same point, it's like that's what killed it for me was it was really loosely just like Rampage. You know what I mean?
It's so if you made me do like a top 15, which I have on this, I would also have the second Resident Evil, and I would have Retribution, which I think is like the 5th one.
Right.
But the other 3 movies in the franchise, I hate them. Those 3 are to me the most fun and good movies, but it's just my 8th movie is Tomb Raider. Now you're gonna say, why is Tomb Raider higher than Resident Evil? I think Resident Evil might slightly be a better movie, but I don't. Not only do I not really have a nostalgia for Resident Evil, because when I was a kid, we didn't play Resident Evil for some reason. We only played Dino Crisis. Our horror game was Dino Crisis, and I played from the very first day I got a PlayStation. My first game was Tomb Raider, and I beat all of Tomb Raider. Then I beat Tomb Raider 2. Then I beat Tomb Raider 3, and then this movie. I really watched the crap out of it when it first came out, and I knew it was bad even as a kid, but I never watched really. I watched Resident Evil the movie once. We rented it, and we just never watched it again.
But
so
see,
my like of Resident Evil the movie is recent.
Well, here's my thing with Tomb Raider. The reason why I put the new one up higher and actually gave it more praise is we're looking at the characters, okay? And if we look at the characters, I'm definitely picking Angelina Jolie. Here's the reason why: because well, she's freaking hotter and she looks more like her, just in general. But then when I looked at the plot of Tomb Raider, the 2018 version compared to Angelina Jolie, I remember the robotic fight scene in the beginning. I remember the fight scenes of Angelina Jolie's movie, but it just felt so much like it was just a really, really watered down Indiana Jones, while Tomb Raider feels like it felt like there was a reason for her to be there and to make her the person she's going to be. So that's the reason why I liked it.
I think, this is my opinion, I think that she did not remind me anything of
but I've got to stop you real quick and ask you a question. You've only played the old Tomb Raider game.
I played the new one.
So why this actually had a lot of that feel to it, and that's what I loved about it.
Yes, but that's the difference. You're trying to compare both movies. You're saying the Angelina Jolie version is based on the old games, and this one's based on the new game.
Right, but that's the whole point. You can't
tell me that this one's more realistic when it's based on a more realistic game.
But that's my whole point, though. The original games were great and everything, but at the same time, the games were based off of Indiana Jones and that whole story. Like, I felt like when it came to Lara Croft in the original games, there was just like, this is rich girl likes to do stuff. You know what I mean? And she likes to go and find stuff. And that is what happened in the movie. Yeah. But that's where it's like, I don't feel like I have any kind of, in my eyes, I wanted to do her more than I was invested in her as far as a person.
As far as a movie that I rather watch for fun factor, it's this, because, okay, I agree. Everything to you. One, I think the new games, though they're good, are a complete ripoff of Uncharted. That's exactly what they want to be. They knew that when they started making them, they were going to copy Uncharted. Uncharted is the best, like, Tomb Raider, whatever, Indiana Jones, like, rating tombs, I mean.
Yeah, right.
Then I don't like her. I thought she was terrible in the movie, and I never really liked her as an actress, but this is the thing that got me the most. Okay, on top of the fact this movie is not fun at all. It's so boring and it's so dark, and the beginning scene with the biking and the delivery was the stupidest moment in all of movie history. I absolutely hated that. Okay, but anyways, every time she does something, she goes,
yeah,
it's so ear piercing. It's like, okay, I think that was the only one. I was watching the movie and I was literally like covering my ears. When she's hanging off the thing, she's literally squelching for like a minute straight. I was like,
okay, so you could definitely tell this is more of a personal level than anything else.
Yeah, but it's like, that's why I didn't like her.
Okay.
But the movie was not fun. Like, this movie,
I still enjoyed it.
That movie might be better. Yeah, this movie's fun.
See, again, I enjoy both, but I just put it up there. If I wanted
to know why I didn't like it, and now I'm telling you.
No, you're fine. But that's the reason why I brought it up there.
Thank you.
Okay, so since Tomb Raider was at number 8 for you, for me, number 8 was Postal. Now, have you seen Postal?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Now,
it's okay. Okay, I don't like it. Is it the worst movie ever? No, but it would never be on my list.
Well, see, the reason it's on my list is because here's the thing: when we're comparing games to videos and games to movies and everything, when they interpret it and everything, let's just look at the original Postal game. It's not a good game, but it's good because it's funny, because it's outrageous.
Yeah.
The movie Postal is not a good movie, but it's fun because it's outrageous. And that's exactly what the movie was doing. It's doing exactly what the game did, and that's what made me love it so much.
But if a movie to me is going to be on my favorite list, okay, this is a double. If I don't have an attachment to it, it better be a really good movie. And I don't have an attachment to it, and it's not a good movie. So,
but see, I have an attachment, but I feel like it's a good movie in its own sense. Like The Room is a good movie in its own sense. Does that make sense?
I don't think it's bad enough to be The Room.
But you get what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I get it. I'm not saying it's like me with Tomb Raider. You can have fun with the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I'm not. For me, I don't have. It's whatever. It's just whatever.
All right. So then 7 for me is Street Fighter. You already said Street Fighter for your list. So what's number 7 on yours?
Street Fighter 2, the anime.
Okay, now see, here's the thing. I did say in my note I didn't put any animes, and I will tell you this: Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, when it came out, it was actually in the late 90s. It was early 90s. I'm sorry, and I remember it actually came out around the same time the first. No, actually, I think it was after the Street Fighter movie came out. Then that briefly came out on VHS, and I remember begging my mom to go to the store, and it wasn't cheap back then. I think it was like $30 for me to get the video, and the video itself. Like back then, $30 in like the early 90s is expensive for a video. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
so I wanted so bad.
That's why.
Yeah, and I wanted it so badly, and I even remember telling myself, even though I saw Street Fighter, I said this should have been what Street Fighter, the actual live action movie, should have been. But I didn't put on my list because if I was going to do,
I don't want to confuse it and like be like, oh yeah, but this movie was massive in Japan.
I agree. But so that's the thing.
It has to like count. Like it probably got a theatrical release there. So I never checked that, but either way, it's staying on my list.
Well, the reason why I did not put it on my list is because I feel like when we take the anime is always going to do it right. When it comes, especially anime, in Japan, when they take movies like games like Pokemon and Street Fighter or anything else, Yu-Gi-Oh. When you take something that might be based off a video game and then turn it into an anime movie, it's so much easier to do that I feel like they would monopolize the list no matter what. Like half of my list, probably even a third of my list would not be in.
Well, I only got 2
anime movies. Yeah, I agree.
I don't like Final Fantasy the movie.
Oh, see, that's the thing.
I feel like you were gonna put it.
Well, see, Final Fantasy Spirits Within, I know is a movie just made for the movies, but I actually enjoyed it. It was different. It was.
Yeah, but it's like literally the farthest possible thing you could get from Final Fantasy.
Not necessarily. Here's the thing. That's the one thing I want to point out. Is down the road when they made these games or anything, the guy that made these games always wanted to go more futuristic. That's why you saw hints of it when it came to Final Fantasy VII. He always wanted to go way more futuristic, but he felt like if he did, a lot of people will not follow it because RPGs always have that whole fantasy store thing. That's the reason why they feel like they did the movie that way, is because they thought they can appeal to a wider audience by not going by swords and doing guns. And I understood it. Now, the only thing I will say that I would missed was not having the chocobos in there and as a character or as an actual creature, and just referencing it as far as like in the background. I can't remember exactly how they referenced it, but they did. And no, it's not on my list, but that's the reason why I didn't put it on there, because again, you're looking at anime movies where it's a lot easier to make stuff like that.
If I was them, I would have just made a movie of Final Fantasy 3-6.
But yeah, but look at Final Fantasy. They made a Final Fantasy VII movie, and that thing was amazing with Cloud and Sephiroth. I loved it. I mean, so if you're not, but I think you have to be a Final Fantasy fan to really enjoy it.
I am. I played all of them except for the new ones.
Okay, well then,
that one is like, it feels like it's obviously Final Fantasy, like it's based on the game. The other movie is not based on a game. It has nothing to do with the games. It's just that guy wanted to make something futuristic, and they thought, by attaching the name Final Fantasy, this is actually a true story. They just put the name Final Fantasy because the people from Final Fantasy were involved and they figured it would sell. And it was from the studio, not from the guy who made it.
Right, but see, you also have to look at one other thing. I always tell people too, and you understand this playing the games too. The games never ever continue on unless you count X2 and all that stuff. But the majority of the time, each time they make a new Final Fantasy,
yeah, but it's not.
Yeah.
Since when are the games like that? The games are RPGs. It's like you can't. It's not really a movie makeable.
No, I agree. But based on what they could make, I still feel it was good.
Well, could make. It's not on any of our lists. What's next?
I didn't put it on my list because it was animated. Again, we did. That's why I did that. Well, I would have if I did put any anime ones. Okay, so then number 6 again. I put Resident Evil. What did you put for number 6?
Prince of Persia.
Okay, so I put that number 10. So, okay, let's ask this.
I think Prince of Persia is better than all of the previous movies that I said.
Now, exactly why, though? And what reference would you say?
It's a more well-made movie. It has a better plot. It has better action sequences. It has better acting. It actually makes sense.
I mean, kind of. I mean, again,
it's just too long for its own good. It has too many subplots.
But it's also been whitewashed. But
the video game is whitewashed already because nobody's not white in that game.
Well, he's still he's supposed to be a Persian. I mean, I don't know how
Persians are white. I know a few.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the whole point, though. What's his name is not a Persian at all. You know, what I mean, by any means necessary. So
I mean, you're kind of constrained by.
Okay,
by
I guess, yeah. Okay, I guess you look at it that way. But I mean, yeah, it's still a good movie. It's on my list. I'm not saying it's bad, but I guess maybe because it doesn't have nostalgia for me, that's probably why it's higher on the list.
I still like up to this point, even up to final Mortal Kombat, which is my next one. I still don't think any of these are considered like good movies.
Yeah.
They're all fine at best.
Well, then let's move on because the thing is, you said Mortal Kombat was next for you. Number 5 for me was the Tomb Raider game. So I've actually put Mortal Kombat higher. I put that in number 3. Maybe for nostalgia feels. So okay, here's the question. Since we'll get to Mortal Kombat when I get to 3, because you put on 5. What did you put at 4?
Pokemon, the first movie.
Okay, so you put that one on there. Let me ask you this: when it comes to Pokemon first movie, they made other Pokemon movies. Okay, why particularly that one? Just because it's the first one?
It's the best. It's the best made. It has the best storyline. You could tell it has the most effort in it. The third one is pretty good, but those two are probably the only good ones in the series. And I've seen all of them. The new one is so bad that like I wanted to smash my PlayStation while I was watching it on Netflix. Like I couldn't believe that they made a movie about the show and just redid the whole beginning of Pokemon.
Right. Well, I remember when I saw it. I actually saw it in theaters. I remember when they showed it. They had the little Pikachu, like
when he talks, people were fucking screaming.
I know. But that's my whole point. It was a good movie, but for me, I think what it was just like, I feel like I just watched the long form version of the TV show. You know what I mean?
You didn't need it. 20 years later, you remade the beginning of the anime. Like, explain to me the logic behind that.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, the first one is good, and it's the first time we see Mewtwo.
Yeah, and that's what I do like. I do like that we see Mewtwo, and there was a big thing, especially with the video games, the whole story of Mewtwo.
Mewtwo was by far the coolest Pokemon ever when it came out. That's what I find gets so misconstrued and like over time. Like, because the Charizard, the card, is worth a lot now, people are under the impression that Charizard was everyone's favorite Pokemon back then. No, everyone
no.
Mewtwo was the cool, and Pikachu. And maybe Squirtle. My favorite Squirtle.
Yeah, actually, see, the thing is, when people talk about the first Pokemon you pick and everything, I actually, like you said, you said Squirtle. Mine was actually Bulbasaur. Like I actually,
I never pick fire ever. I always.
I never did either.
I hate fire.
And I don't understand the concept of, like, everyone talks about it's a huge deal. I never picked it. Like I every time Bulbasaur was the first one you pick, I picked him. I don't know why I liked him. I liked the way he looked. It kind of reminded me of the Ninja Turtle.
The Charizard thing is just because of the card game.
Yeah.
In the show, Squirtle was so cool. The Squirtle Squad, remember?
Yeah, exactly.
Was the main character, so Pikachu's cool. And then Mewtwo was like this mythical creature that was so badass. And even in the Detective Pikachu movie, Mewtwo is badass.
Okay, then we're actually going to get to that. So here's what I'm going to do before we get into that. So between 5, 4, and 3, for me, I noticed that between 4 and 3 and 5, since I don't have the anime and I've got Tomb Raider there, I'm guessing number 3 for you is Silent Hill, right?
Yeah, Silent Hill is a great movie.
Okay, so here's the thing. I put Mortal Kombat above Silent Hill, and that's the thing. The only reason I did that, I put Mortal Kombat at 3 and Silent Hill 4. And for a lot of people that know me, they'd be like, I'm surprised you put Silent Hill lower on the list than Mortal Kombat because of the love of Silent Hill. I think what it is I played Mortal Kombat first before I played Silent Hill, of course, because Mortal Kombat came out before then. And Mortal Kombat wasn't as violent as it should be in the games, but at least in that, it had the fanfare. Silent Hill, I loved the movie. I definitely enjoyed the movie, but because I played so much of Silent Hill and has so much lore behind it, Silent Hill got on my list for being such a great movie, but I felt like it lost its charm because it didn't understand how the lore really worked, and it lost its charm on that. And that's
still a better made movie.
I agree. Like, for example, when we compare Silent Hill to Resident Evil as far as horror movies based on video games, oh my God, Silent Hill hands down knew what to do, what they were doing better. You know what I mean?
And to me, I don't even as a game, I don't like Mortal Kombat.
Really?
As a kid, it was fun because it was like had the blood and stuff. But once I discovered Street Fighter, I never played Mortal Kombat again.
See, I played both of them. I like Street Fighter for its combos. I like Mortal Kombat for its outrageousness. Like, I played Mortal Kombat, and then Killer Instinct. What I loved about my life growing up is I had Street Fighter. Street Fighter was combos. I had Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat was like gore and action, like that kind of base. And then you had Killer Instinct that was right in the middle that had both of them combined, Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat.
My middle one is Tekken.
And see, actually, I actually saw the live action movie of that too,
It's
and
not
that was
that bad.
yeah. Actually, if you didn't know, it's actually number 10. I actually had Dead or Alive, DOA the
Oh
movie.
my god, Dead or Alive is so much fun.
It is.
I was like, I'm not putting it on my list.
But I was almost had on my list just because how enjoyable it is.
There's a lot of movies. If you go check through them, there's a lot of video game movies. There's like 3 Tekken movies.
Oh, I know. Like, there's a Far Cry movie. I haven't even seen that yet. I knew there was. I heard it's horrible. It's the same guy that made the House of the Dead. But
yeah, it's you evolve.
But that's my whole point. Like DOA, Dead or Alive, even though it's not really a good movie, the thing is, like to see what's his name, Kevin Nash as the pro wrestler, and he's actually a real pro wrestler. Yeah, and then you see what's her name from My Name Is Earl as what's her name. I was like, oh, it worked out for me so well. You know,
they nailed the characters.
Mm-hmm.
The girl the Australian girl that plays what's her face. I don't know anybody's names from Dead or Alive.
I can't remember either. I'm forgetting because I used to play the game all the time, but I wasn't thinking of their names.
The way they made that movie was literally just fan service. There was not supposed to be a point. There was not supposed to be anything. They were like, here's fan service.
But it worked. It worked because of that. Yeah.
It worked very well.
I mean, it's not one of those movies I didn't put on my list because I knew it was a bad movie, but it's like the Postal.
I did not like the games. I mean,
I loved it. Oh.
The first one that came out on Xbox 360, we played it to death because my buddy had it. But I'm not a huge fan of it. For me, it's like Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is like, I feel like there's a lot more tech and like a skill that you have to put into Mortal Kombat and Tekken to be good. Mortal Kombat is just a button masher, especially those stupid Injustice games. Those Injustice games are straight up button mashers.
Really? See, I don't feel it is, because when I fight people, the people that are button mashers really are horrible at it, and I can end up kicking their asses. Because see, here's the thing: when it comes to fighting games, you have a lot of games you can do button mashing, and you can people that will put you in corners, things of that nature. And I'm like, I've learned how to deal with that. And see, I talk a lot about fighting games because that's what I love. That's what I feel like I'm good at. Like when it comes to shooting games, I'm complete garbage. Fighting games, I love and I'm good at. And when I was doing this list, I found out they made an animated Samurai Showdown movie. I'm like, I got to see this now. I didn't know this existed. You know what I mean? And I love playing that game. So Dead or Alive, for example, I may forget the character names in Dead or Alive, but I remember playing obsessively over it.
Oh, I know who they are. I just don't know the names.
Exactly. Like I know there's one named Kasumi. Yeah. And then, but the problem is I, there's a lot of things in that game I remember that aren't names, especially when you bring up the age limit. Let's not get into it. If you played the game, you'll understand.
I played the volleyball game for sure.
Oh, I definitely played. Yeah, Dead or Alive, the beach volleyball. I played it anyway. But that's the reason why I put Mortal Kombat up there, because of my love for fighting games. And I felt like that movie, at least fan service, it did a better job of fan service when it comes to that movie than outside of no fatalities. They did a good job. Silent Hill, it just didn't understand the plot. It was fun to watch. That's why
when Pyramid Head comes out,
that's when I get excited. When he came out, yeah.
I think, like I said, we played Dino Crisis and then we moved on to Silent Hill. We never really played Resident Evil,
right?
And till maybe like the one on GameCube,
right? I know what you're talking about. Yep. The good one. It's really good too.
Yeah, that's like the best one probably. I think that's 4.
Yeah.
I think this movie is just well made. They picked a good cast to be in the movie. They thought about it. It has like a great element, a horror element. It's just well made. It's a good movie. Everyone shut up. I don't like you.
Okay, so now that we got into that, like I said, I'll just restate this again. I got 5 for Tomb Raider. Number 5 is Tomb Raider. Number 4 is Silent Hill. And number 3 is Mortal Kombat. And what was your number 5, 4, and 3 again?
Mortal Kombat, Pokemon, Silent Hill.
Okay, so you can kind of see outside the Pokemon Tomb Raider thing, we actually agree really closely on that. Then when it comes to number 2 and number 1, we agree. So let's just go ahead and get into it. First off, Detective Pikachu. I will say for the longest time, Detective Pikachu would have had the number 1 spot. You know what I mean? And because it was the one game the one movie that said, hey, we understand what this franchise is. Let's put it in movie form. And that's what made Detective Pikachu so loved. Because even the Mewtwo thing, you know what I mean? Like the way they did him on there, it did remind me of the old Pokemon movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they did borrow a lot from the actual storyline of the old Pokemon movie.
Yeah, I agree, but it's still good. You know what I mean? It's definitely what I wanted. So okay, before we get into number 1, is there anything you want to talk about when it comes to Detective Pikachu before I just?
Yeah, I think it's a good movie. It's fun. The humor in it is really good. The nostalgia and like the visuals of all the Pokemon are amazing. No one was expecting it to be that good. My only big flaw with it is the relationship built with the girl is kind of weird. Like it just seems out of place. And
Yeah.
the like if the third quarter of the movie is really boring and it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. And then all of a sudden it gets to the end and there's all this action and it just ends. But that like middle 30 minutes ish, the later middle is like really boring, and that's where I lost it for me. And then the fact that it's his dad, I hated it.
Yeah, and see, that's kind of what lost me in that, and that why it became a joke. Like I enjoyed the movie, and I was after like with Ryan Reynolds playing the voice of Pikachu at first, because there was a whole thing with Danny DeVito doing that, which I would have loved to have had. But I was like, I actually ignored the whole idea of it being Ryan Reynolds until it became his dad. And then it just became a joke to me where I was just sitting there going, dude, you're so lucky. Your dad is Deadpool. And when that goes in my head, that's basically like he's been typecast to that character, but he was good enough to do the voice. But then when I saw him, I was taken back because at that point I was like, okay, I kind of figured there was something involved with that. Like his dad's going to come back, but it was like, but at the same time, I was hoping it wouldn't be that. It was
this
like,
is the best part of it too. Well, let me just get this out before we go on to the next one. No one even questions that the kid is like almost 30 years old and his dad is like 40.
yeah.
And it made no sense to me because he works so well as the voice. It was hilarious. But when when you see him with him, it doesn't. You're all of a sudden in my head. I was like, this doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Like, none
Exactly.
of this makes sense. It's just not logical. And there's supposed to be a sequel, but I wish that he stayed as. I wish he found out it was his dad, but he had to stay as the Pikachu.
Exactly. He just lived with it. He was just happy to be around.
Yeah, he got his memories back, and he's a Pikachu. Now they have a detective agency called Detective Pikachu, where him and the Pikachu solve friggin' mysteries. And I ruined it, stupid idiots.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree that wasn't perfect because then like maybe he'd be like, you know what, being with you as a Pikachu, as no matter how, but what would be like, I still get to be with you as a father and son situation.
And you wouldn't lose time constraints either. Like if Ryan Reynolds is a big actor.
I love how you almost said Deadpool.
But imagine he's really busy. Like voice acting takes very little time. They could do the whole movie without him and then just get him to say his lines, and there you go. You have Ryan Reynolds. Now that you have him as an actor, you have to think this out way more. There's so much more of a process to it. And it takes away from the other characters because now they're not as valuable because you have such a bigger name that's going to clog up the thing. And also we don't get a Pikachu that talks like Ryan Reynolds.
Exactly. So, all right. So now that we're at that, listen before I get into this, because I know John's like, oh God, here we go. So here's the thing.
It's the best movie.
Yeah, I'm not gonna speak on this because no matter what, even if this wasn't a good movie, I would have been biased. But I was so happy that when I did my review for this movie, it was probably the most outshining review I've ever done for anything in my lifetime when it comes to movies at all. Just because of what I love about this character back in the video games and everything. Everyone knows it's my favorite video game of all time. Everyone knows it's one of my favorite video game characters of all time. And to hear John put this on my list made me so happy. So,
how do you just put on the list? This is number one.
I know, at number one, I mean.
We have the same number one and number two. And we have like 7 of the same movies. If I didn't put animated movies, we almost have the same list.
I agree. So I'm going to let you take over and I will fill in from there, whatever. I might just say I agree and then fill in anything I think. And I'm going to use this as a pedestal and what I think they should do at number 2 and so on. But let's go ahead. You go ahead and tell me why you, John, loved Sonic the Hedgehog.
It was very good. Okay, it's one of the most accurate to the source material as far as lore goes, and as much as it can be based on a platforming game where a guy runs around loops, and that's basically the only thing he does. It looks amazing. It's funny. It's pretty well acted. The story is really like, okay, it kind of makes no sense, but if you can put that aside, the fact that he could have ran there and back like 15 times before he got there.
Yep.
It just like, it works because it's like a buddy cop movie and they're just going on this journey, and like there's so many little things that happen, Easter eggs that like, and I'm not even the biggest Sonic guy, even though like I like Sonic, but I'm not the biggest Sonic guy. When he's at the end and he's like does the
you talking about this when he goes to the supersonic where the spin dashes on? I mean,
when he spin dashes.
Yeah.
like all the little things that happened like that when he did something from the game, I was like, yes, 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 every single time, and I just enjoyed that kind of stuff, and I think they nailed it. Am I gonna say? You know what? This is probably the actual best movie of all the video game. The top two that we picked are the two actual best. Not like just my favorite. Objectively, they're by far the best. I'm just, it's good.
Yeah. And see, okay, now I'll go and jump in here because here's the thing. When it comes to the lore of Sonic the Hedgehog, when it comes to like Robotnik, it's always been loosely when it comes to like the comic books and everything. They don't jump right into Dr. Odd Robotnik's storyline or Dr. Eggman, however you want to look at him. And so when they made this, it gave them an opportunity to really work with that idea of how Eggman came to be and how Sonic finds so on and so forth. And this is what I love about this movie is, and this is why I was actually going to make a video saying what they should do for part 2 and part 3 if they really want to succeed and make the fans happy. And I never made that video because as I started making that video, it started popping in my head that I'm combining the movie, the comic books, the movie, and the video games together to make something so great. But the problem is my video became too long. And I was like, I was going into detail of something that I still might do. But I'm going to try to summarize it and everything. The reason this movie works so...
I made a video that was too long about this to post on it, but I'm going to try and squeeze in the last 1 minute of this video.
But you don't get it. I didn't actually complete the video. I wrote the script and everything, but I didn't actually...
That's what I mean. It was too long to do a whole video on. You're going to squeeze it into 1 minute here?
I'm going to be able to, okay?
Let's see how fast you can talk.
All right, so... You're an ass. All right. So just to make things quick, in this movie, we get the origins of Dr. Robotnik. We get the whole situation of where he comes to be and where he meets Sonic, okay? We already know Sonic has his Green Hill Zone area, and we know that the rings, which they already in the video games, is a way to go from one area to another, which is a great idea that they used in this movie. And so what made me love Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, why he did it so well is because Dr. Robotnik is an outrageous, over-the-top character. You need somebody that can pull that off with intelligence, and Jim Carrey pulled it off perfectly. That he was like he was made for that role, and he's already stated in interviews he wants to expand upon it and make the Robotnik that was in the games, which means he wants the overweight suit type of situation. He wants that Robotnik. That makes me so happy, and we already have the setup. So let me explain to you why. If you look at it, when he uses the needle of the Sonic character, the spine, he uses it to power his machine. In the comic books, if you notice, all the bad guys, the badniks, which he also has a switch in the movie where it actually turns it says badniks, that's robots, are powered by animals. Which, if you think about it, those animals have the energy just like Sonic does. Maybe they have special powers, things of that nature, that energize their robots. That's why the ship was able to move so fast, because it powers them. This gives us an opportunity for Robotnik to go into the next movie where Tails, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, so sorry, go watch it now before I say this. Tails at the end comes and says he needs to find Sonic. Maybe the owl, which is not a character in the video games, tells Tails that we need to come back because Robotnik in the sequel has now taken over the forest animals and found out that he can also utilize their powers to make his robot army, which now makes the whole death thing where he starts building that and starts building his army. And now Sonic has to go and save all his furry friends, where now you made a movie, part 2, where he has to go back and work with Tails, just like he did in the second movie, to stop Robotnik and even maybe find out about the Chaos Emeralds, which then can lead into part 3 with Knuckles, because Knuckles was the one that introduced the big Chaos Emerald with the floating island, and then that floating island would actually introduce the whole Knuckles tribe that you see in the beginning of the first movie that are attacking Sonic as a kid, which would introduce elements of the comic book with the whole Knuckles and also his Chaotix characters, and then can also bring in Sally, Amy, and all those, to where you could have an anthology trilogy movie that would be amazing, which I didn't put any other detail in there right now, but I have a whole lot of other detail that fill in those potholes. What do you think, John?
Guess what? I have a better 2 movies than that. In the second movie, Tails comes back to tell Sonic about the Chaos Emerald. They have a Chaos Emerald. Robotnik finds Knuckles, uses him to get Sonic. So Knuckles is going to be the bad guy.
Just like in the third movie, just like in the third game, too.
Okay, so he's going to come back to get Sonic. At the end of this movie, they're going to have a fight, and then they're going to realize that Robotnik has been the bad guy the whole time, and that he went into the other universe to get the Chaos Emeralds while they're out here fighting. And then the third movie is going to be them in the other universe trying to stop him, and he's going to build the Metal Sonic.
Yep.
And then Sonic's going to go Super Sonic and fight him at the end of the movie, and then that's going to end. I win.
But see, the reason,
win.
but the
I
reason,
win!
no, but listen, the reason I feel like you should still do the 2 and 3 is I feel like in part 2, and this is other plots I put in there. I feel like Metal Sonic should be in part 2 because I feel like Sonic can fight Metal Sonic
Too
without.
early for him to go
No,
supersonic in the
but that's
second.
what I'm saying. No. See, the thing is, he can fight Metal Sonic without being supersonic. He can fight Metal Sonic because it's just a machine. You have to remember, in the video games, he also had that big robot he controls. That's a big, massive robot. And he has the huge Death Egg Zone they also has. And he also has Chaos. And the other games, that's much stronger than Metal Sonic will ever be. So if you actually use the whole thing where at the end of part 2, Tails has found out about the roboticizing of all the animals. So Sonic has come back to help him, okay? And then what happens is at the end of 2, Knuckles says, I have a backup plan. And then all of a sudden, that's where you see Knuckles, and he's just manipulating Knuckles to get Knuckles' Chaos Emerald. But he said Sonic did it. And that leads into part 3, where now Knuckles is actually thinking that Sonic's the bad guy. In the middle of Sonic 3, Sonic convinces Knuckles, no, he's not the bad guy. And he goes, oh no, he's got the Chaos Emeralds and he's unleashed chaos. So, of course, now Sonic has to fight Chaos, but he's not strong enough. So then he finally gets all the Chaos Emeralds, puts them together, and now he's fighting Chaos with Dr. Robotnik, and then the whole team of all the Sonic characters behind him to help him out in his supersonic mode.
I don't want any more Sonic characters. I just want Knuckles and Metal Sonic, and I don't think you should go too far because I get that you love those characters because you love the game, but they're all so bad and cheesy.
But that's what I'm trying to say. You don't have to have those as main characters. Have supersonic.
Don't even show them. Just
well, you could show them as background. It doesn't have to be. They don't have to be main characters. Like I feel like if they focus a little bit as Knuckles and Tails as their extra characters, maybe have Amy on the side, like oohing over Sonic occasionally, and then the other ones are just background characters. But what I'm saying is, as far as the last fight, you maybe have Knuckles and Tails are just fighting a few robots off and saying, "Sonic, go handle the big deal," and that's when you have Sonic doing this massive battle.
I don't like the idea of the trying to save the little animals. I feel like that's one of the dumb things about Sonic. I like where a lot of things you said. Let's just, before we go too far into this and this becomes a 45-minute video only about, we'll make another video about the sequels of Sonic.
Yeah, right. But again, but that's the reason why I feel like, and this is the perfect reason why I want to bring this up before we end it. This is the reason why I love the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie and why they did it so well. They left it open for so many great stories that people will love, and at the same time still sticking to the lore, but also making it to where someone doesn't go, oh, this is too confusing. You know what I mean?
Well, Sonic has like some of the most confusing lore in all of
videos. It does, but
and 90% of the games don't even actually have a story, but for some reason the lore to them is like absolutely insane.
Yeah, it is. So,
but yeah, that's fine. Sonic number 1.
Yep. So
I'm really, really happy. I'm really happy, and I'm super surprised that you did not have Mario Brothers on your list.
No, I see. Here's the thing.
I hate that movie.
And I'm gonna go. Let's go and talk about that. Let's make this the final. Let's talk about how bad the reason why that's on the list. Here's the thing. There is a cult following to Super Mario Brothers because of how bad it is. And I almost thought about making that like number 10 or calling it like number 100 and mentioning it, but I'm glad you mentioned it now. The reason why it makes me so happy that Sonic succeeded is because it was always that Mario pedestal. Mario's better than Sonic, when they had their war. You know, we have the Xbox, PlayStation war going right now, but the whole war that actually started it was Sega and Nintendo. You know what I mean? And I was in the middle of that, and I was always a Sega fanboy, And what happened with Super Mario Brothers is for those that know about it, there was so much problems in the background that even the main cast of Mario and Luigi did not like being in that movie. They were drinking on the set because they hated that movie so much.
I want a documentary.
There actually is kind of one, but it's
I know really I saw like little things about it.
Yeah. But my whole point to the thing is it's such a bad movie. Like when I was younger, I geeked over it because because as a kid it referenced things in the video game that I was playing at the time. So I was like, oh my God, it's exciting. But then when I looked at it, when I actually bought it on video, all excited, then I watched it. And I was like, I can't remember how old I was, but I was like in my early teens. And the second time I watched it, I go, why did I get excited about this? First and foremost, Mario can't ride Yoshi. why the heck is King Koopa the guy from not Silence of the Lambs, I can't think of what movie I was thinking at the time, but why is what's his name Dennis Hopper playing Dr. King Koopa, and why are the Goombas the way, like, everything was so broken because you can't make a Mario Bros live action in my eyes, all right? And the thing is, when they tried,
you should make it animated.
I agree.
Look how good Sonic and Detective Pikachu looked from just the animated side. If you make the whole movie animated, you could easily make a Mario movie.
I agree, but that's my point. Like, if you look at all the Super Mario cartoons as well, they're not that good,
No,
but at least they're way more enjoyable than the movie. That's my whole point. The whole thing is, this movie was so convoluted with stupid things of trying to reference things, but then we suddenly got something that I can't even, not even Mad Max. What's the word I'm looking for? There's no reference point to what this movie became when it came so horrible. That it's because it's so bad, it became kind of like what The Room was. It became popular because it's so bad. But
yeah,
my problem is it's one of those movies that if you are slightly a fan of Mario, I don't want to see that.
well,
Like,
first, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, well, I'm a fan of Mario, and here's my thing. I'm gonna say this right now: Mario and Luigi are Italian. John Leguizamo is not.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, see, I love
neither
that
one of them is.
Yeah, I love how you love, because even I can look past it. What's his name? Play Mario. I'm like, all right, he's you know what? I'll give it to him. He's not but he looks slightly Italian. You know what I mean?
Leguizamo looks Italian.
No, Leguizamo. Even if you think he looks Italian in my eyes, he never looked Italian in my eyes. And
that's how Italian people look. Have you never met any?
Well, I've got 50% Italian in my blood, and still it's not. Anyway, my point to the whole thing is everything about that movie is just horrible, and I would never saturate with being in my list. In my eyes, that is what X-Men Origins is to me when it comes to the Marvel Universe in general. You know what I mean? In video game universes, Mario Bros. Is that. And
go. Yeah, it's not good. Speaking of X-Men, did you ever watch New Mutants?
No, I have not. If you could finally watch it.
Oh, I watched it. It's not bad. I like it.
Really?
I like it.
So is there a good copy of it? Because I hate that I can't see.
Yeah, it's HD.
All right, so it looks like I might be watching.
I watched it like 2 days ago. Honestly, it was good. I was like, why do people not like this movie?
So it looks like I might be doing a review of New Mutants, guys. So make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Off topic, but I think I'm done with this.
Yeah, I think we're good. But yeah, guys. So again, number one was Sonic the Hedgehog for both of us, and I'm glad that we agree on that. But guys, that is the top 10 movies based on video games. Make sure you guys go check out RLG2. That's where John posts videos, and I do videos with him as well. He also has an Instagram called Campo Reviews. He does a lot of reviews on there. I always end up skipping because he's like, I'll see stuff on there. I'm like, oh, you're a butthole. He's seen a lot of movies, dude. He's seen a lot. And he also goes by the name of Campo, not the musical artist. I love joking about that. Anyway.
Yeah, who stole my name? I'm gonna sue him.
He's got a second music video out too. But anyway,
go check out his music videos.
But yeah, go check out RLG2 and Campo Reviews on Instagram. And of course, my channel as well. I want to thank you all for watching. Again, like, subscribe, you know the drill. And I will see you guys on the next This Is Podcast. So, John, you want to say anything else before we let go?
This is podcast.
All right. Peace out, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead and check out another video, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.